For rural entrepreneurship?
Yep, Center for Rural Entrepreneurship.
Out of Nebraska.
Where in Memphis?
Oh, I can get us there real quick. Jack Butler's gonna like you.
Somebody's calling my name. Somebody's
You know what I got here? This is the mojo hand. The winning boy's magic. They say there's only one last true mojo left in the world. Take it. Take it and go up there and do your stuff. I'm giving you all the magic I've got.
Who's next up there? Who's coming on up? Who's gonna get their head cut?
How about you?
Chicken boy, chicken boy, chicken boy.
As I mentioned near the close of the last record, this record you are now playing is another example of the completion backwards principle.
Well. Who sent you here? Can't talk, little man?
Oh, bitch.
Bet can't play none either.
I could pull a better cartoon out of my ass. Hey, whoa! Wasn't that great, kid?
But as for me, I'm off to battle aliens on a faraway planet.
It's like a freaking country bear jamboree around here.
But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie time.
Uh-oh. 2 independent thought alarms in one day.
Good morning, Woodticks and Patriots. Got the Just Jim show on WPEG.net, and we're having a little bit of trouble streaming over here. Always with the technical difficulties, isn't it? Well, we've been off the air for quite a while, since around the end of the year last year. And reason being, we're redoing the studio, and we're still waiting for some equipment to come in. They keep promising that it's coming in, but for whatever reason, it's just not here yet. I have to beg some indulgence here while we had this all tested and ready to rock and roll. There we go. We're having trouble over off the TV side of this world. Is working real well right now. We're streaming, and we will be talking here. I got the top 10 things we're going to talk about today. Got to get my sheet in front of me. Oh yeah, here it is. Discombobulated. But that's the way it is in the Northwoods. We're in the bunker here at Lake Wish I Be Gone, and it is shaping up to be one beautiful day up here at Lake Wish I Be Gone in the Northwoods of Wisconsin. About 55 degrees. The lake is like glass. Sunny skies, and not a cloud to be seen. Oh, there's a little one floating by. But anyway, we're going to have a great day up here. We've got obviously so much going on right now. We're able to talk about. You just can't make this stuff up. Day after day, I've been itching to get back on talking about all this crazy stuff that's going on. If anybody, all the listeners, if you wood ticks out there or patriots are activists, there's a lot to be active on. Congress is now looking at the IRS scandal. Isn't this another diversion away from Benghazi? You betcha. The Justice Department obtains via subpoenas 20 lines of massive and unprecedented intrusive records coming from the AP. Isn't that interesting? The people who have been keeping the big old boy, our fearless leader. Where is he here? There he is. There's our fearless leader. You betcha. Out of jail, maybe, perhaps, off the treason trial list. Angelina Jolie has a double mastectomy. That's a story we're not going to get into, but if you're into the entertainment world, you might want to check that out. Out on the East Coast in Philadelphia, abortion doctor faces the death penalty. It's about time. For all that hasn't been said in the news and on the in the press, the AP, for being quiet. You'd think that Obama and the boys would just stay away from these guys, but no. Anyway, our people, we the people, sit in a courtroom, make the decisions, and guess what? Yep, enough of this life imprisonment crap. He knew exactly what the hell he was doing. Sorry, I'm not going into that right now. Anyway, and here with the old boy with his push to keep companies going green, we have a new little story that, it's kind of a stretch, but hey, it's on the AP wires. Wind farms are killing thousands of birds a year, and do you think the administration, for as green as they are, would protect a protected bird, our national symbol, the eagle? I don't think so. And the digging in Bangladesh has stopped. 1,127 victims are, let's call it the final count, which isn't real impressive. And where are you buying your clothes from? Huh? And, of course, public video cameras have now once again come to the aid of police. And there is a huge story going on in the general public about, I'd have to call it the next immigration bill, which is, hey, we're going to talk about that too. Why police and governments are wanting access to private video cameras. And John McCain seems to be a leader in this issue, talking about where governments can come in if there's a private cam, a webcam, something up that a company has that would, not to mention public cameras all over the place. Oh, let's talk about Chicago and the 22,000 cameras in that city and how it helps keep the citizens safe in Chicago. I don't think so. And sideline, Joyce Brothers, psychologist, died at 85 on Monday. And everybody knows Joyce Brothers and what she did for television in a syndicated advice column. And then, of course, coming in at the number 10. How does this even make the top 10? I mean, do you really care? Do any of you patriots care? I know all you wood ticks do. You just can't wait to suck on somebody else's life. Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, home at Kensington Palace, won't be ready by the time the baby is born in July. What do you mean it won't be ready? Did somebody knock it down and they got to rebuild it? Anyway, this makes the number 10 spot on today's top 10 things that you need to know where Kate and William's baby will live. If that's what makes your world go round, bumpity bump bump bump. We'll be right back. Just Jim in the morning on WPEG, your dose of reality network. Hey, and if you want to call in and chit-chat with us on anything we're talking about today, toll free, 855-490-2300. We'll be right back.
Getting back to school, I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And this is true. I work in the summer, I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, He says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge. Dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the Republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance, under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners, a listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. At Hodag Gun & Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At Hodag Gun & Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you. Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability. WPEG.net Television Network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's North Woods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's Telenet to school board meetings, government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today. Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@wpeg.net. WPEG is a listener-supported station. Are you ready for digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001. That's Dave's TV, 362-3000. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Yeah, we're back. Just Jim here in the morning on WPEG. You know, we're still sorting through some stuff. Excuse me for my morning crassness here. I'm still drinking coffee while we're watching the sunrise over Lake Wish I Be Gone. And an interesting little thing. We talked about this before going into break. Why? Why is that coming in so strong? Interesting. I got feedback problems here, folks. Sorry if you're listening on the stream side, not on TV side. Come on over to Ustream.tv. Find the Just Jim show on there. You can catch all the stuff up there. You'll see all the video stuff that we're working on. And you see all the pictures that we're throwing up, too. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know why this is... Again, I'm having trouble here today, but I'll sort it out, and tomorrow will be great. It'll all be good. Yes, indeedy do. Before we went into break, we talked about... no, we didn't, actually. We talked about the items that seem to be cropping up in lieu of talking about having the administration talk about Benghazi. You know... The old boy comes on TV yesterday and puts these big words. Oh, I'm not going to stand for this. This isn't part of our history. You know, the guy has a problem saying the word Constitution. Everything that this administration seems to be doing, and this is on both sides of the so-called aisle. We elect these yahoos to go to Washington to go to work for us. Yeah, I sound like I'm just pre-election here again. I go right back into it, but I tell you, you cannot have the things going on that are going on and not want to sit down and talk about it. A lot of people want to put their heads in the sand, play ostrich, go bury their heads in somebody else's arm like a wood tick. Oh, everything's fine and dandy. Yeah, you guys are you're making a stink over nothing. I don't think so. We, the people, have certain perspectives on what we know our country needs to be. And the actions by this administration, let's just call it everyone who's elected. I haven't seen a patriot stand up and constantly have the argument for the Constitution. A lot of people say Rand Paul does. Yes, he does occasionally stand up. He did the filibuster, and God love him for that. But then people who are supposed to be on the same side turn around and criticize the bejeebers out of him for, this wasn't appropriate to do, and not the right way to do business. Well, I'm sorry. Sometimes you just have had enough, and you have to do what you have to do. And I was surprised at the lack of fellow elected officials who showed up, including my senator, one of my senators. Both, I think Ron Johnson showed up. And I'm not sure if Sean Duffy did or not. Now, these are Wisconsin representatives that we elected and sent out to the East Coast. It's interesting how you go on the campaign trail and they campaign for certain things, certain perspectives, and win over the electoral votes, get elected, and then all of a sudden they get out there and there's all of this need to compromise. I don't know where this comes from. If this is the soft shoe shuffle that rookies get when they go to Washington, and then after that, obviously when you first go there as a rookie, people are going to want to look at you. They're going to keep an eye and say, "Oh, how's he doing? What's he voting on? What's he doing here?" And ultimately, it seems like they just meld into the village in D.C. and they become a village idiot or a court jester, playing on the strings of the administration. Jump. Oh, how high, sir? What's the matter here? Yeah, I am so tired of partisan politics. Personally, that's just me. This is an editorial show. It's my opinion, but I think a lot of you listeners understand what I'm saying and agree with me. I don't pull any punches. If somebody's a village idiot, they're a village idiot. You can't make it up. You elected officials need to start to understand that we, the people, have certain expectations. Oh, wait a minute. What is that? An expectation. Yeah, that's something that goes along with getting a vote. And why wouldn't we have expectations? It seems like it's almost across the board that I got elected. The attitude becomes, I got elected. I can go to Washington. Nobody's going to watch me anymore. And then everybody who does watch gets thrown into this category of anti-government, a terrorist. Since when have American citizens become terrorists in their own country? And with all of these issues coming up, nobody listens to what they say anymore. From the immigration thing that's about to go down, and I hope to God it doesn't. They're illegal aliens. They're not here legally, and neither are their offspring. And I liken this exactly to a criminal who gets busted, goes to jail, and in the old days used to write a book about it, get book rights, and make a lot of money while they're sitting in jail. The offspring of illegal immigrants have no more right to stay here legally, nor jump to the head of a line, or get some special dispensation to become part of the American way of life. I'm sorry that their parents are criminals. And whoa, yes, I said it, criminals. They're illegal. The law says they can't do it. And let me just tell you what a two-sided faced guy this administration, this head yahoo we got, the head village idiot out in Washington, D.C. What exactly, this is the true oxymoron of this guy. A little story hits the AP wire by Erica Werner, Washington. Immigration activists are calling on President Barack Obama to end deportation of immigrants who might be eligible for legal status under the new, whatever it is. See, this is like Pelosi. We don't know what's in it, so we're going to pass it so we know what's in it. So they're coming to the new immigration bill, whatever it might be, who might be eligible for legal status under a new immigration bill. Have you heard anything? Well, and of course the progressives will stand right up there, right at the front of the line saying, well, this is what we need to do. We need to protect our children. Well, we can get into another discussion about protecting our children real quick here. Activists, progressives, that's my term, have long complained of record deportations breaking up families under the Obama administration. And then our head village idiot goes down to Mexico, talks to these young kids, and apologizes for my way of life. Who the hell does he think he is? Now, see, I'm sorry, where's my dingy? I don't have my dingy. In the old days, if I swore a little bit, I'd put a quarter in the kitty, and then we'd donate that money at the end of the year to a true nonprofit corporation that looks out for people that need to be looked out for. Screw the IRS, but we're going there in a minute. But if you goes down to Mexico on my dime, I pay to pick up Air Force One and fly it the way the hell down to Mexico, and he can talk about improved relations between America and Mexico. Now, what he's talking about is open borders, and it's been going on for 20-some years. And the one thing that stops constantly, I said this story to a number of my friends 25 years ago. I work in the television production business, and I was in Milwaukee at the La Raza convention, a national convention. And we had Joe Lieberman, President Fox at the time, from Mexico. And the one thing that was universally cried at that meeting about open borders was that it would never happen as long as we had guns in Texas. Are you listening here, folks? Are you listening here? The one thing that was said 20-some years ago that was universal at the meeting, the La Raza convention, was that open borders would never happen, no matter how much the Latino population wanted it to happen, because there were guns guarding the border of the United States of America. Oh, wait a minute. Would that be a patriot? Oh, possibly. So anyways, these activists have complained about this. Officials representing labor unions, day laborers, and others held a conference call and released a letter Monday telling Obama it makes no sense to be deporting people that he's committed to legalizing through an immigration bill he supports. Are you listening to this oxymoron? U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement report deporting close to 400,000 people a year in recent years. I don't know what recent. Yeah, this is a watered down, politically correct press release. Recent years. That could be anything. Oh, recent years. The last 2 years? No, probably not. Maybe the last 2 years out of 10. When asked to address complaints about the deportations, Obama has said that until the law changes, he has to enforce the law that's on the books. Did you hear that? The head village idiot is saying that he has to support the laws that are on the books. While, wait a minute here. There's a little thing going on called Benghazi, and it's not going to go away. There's a little thing going on out in Philadelphia with a doctor. Oh, laws on the books. Now, wait a minute. Except at the DNC, the Democratic Convention, what did they do last year? They took the word God out of their platform. They endorsed gay unions while they shoved Obamacare up the people's you-know-what, where the sun don't shine. And then when we, the people, tell him to abide by the rules and laws that are currently in effect in America, what does he say? Well, I'm going to selectively support and enforce the laws of America. Oh, and why would that be? Oh, this guy right here, Eric Holder, the Attorney General for the United States of America, with a free carte blanche get-out-of-jail card for Fast and Furious. Oh, we'll give him executive clemency. You know, this whole administration is talking so far out of their you-know-where. You know, so now all of a sudden Holder comes to the aid in the IRS, or excuse me, in the AP telephone line acquisition by the government, which runs hand in hand with the IRS searching to get rid of tax-exempt organizations, 501c3s, 501c4s, through extensive and intrusive investigations. Isn't that an interesting little twitty? So now you've got this whole immigrant. He says, "Well, I'm going to support all of the laws that are on the books." Well, you know that's not true, because if someone in your staff has a dereliction of duty, what's the appropriate measure? Not say, well, let's go out and have a cup of coffee and talk about it. You fire the people. You fire them on the spot. You make them pay restitution if they stole. If they did a criminal act, you throw them in front of a judge. Press charges. Except, of course, when it comes to your top senior aides. They're immune. No, they're not. No, they are not, Mr. Hussein Obama. They are not. So what do? You come out and throw smoke screens up. So the two things, you now have a village idiot standing there with a fly swatter. He's swinging all over the place because he's got to get diversions going on here. Oh, here we go. Another Julie Pace writes an article in the AP again. Barack Obama tried to swat down a pair of brewing controversies Monday, denouncing as outrageous and the targeting of conservative political groups by the federal IRS. See, you got to remember, everybody is lulled into this, that the IRS is part of the government. It is not. It's an agency, a private organization that's hired by the government to collect their taxes. It's a collection agency. By angrily denying any administration cover-up after last year's deadly attack in Benghazi in Libya. There you go. Now you got Benghazi that's not going away. So what do? You throw some mid-level management person out of Cleveland, is it? I don't even remember where the heck it is. It doesn't really matter. It's going on all over the place. And I know people who have been hit by that are heads of organizations that have been hit. I volunteer for a couple of them, and guess what? Oh, bandwidth is low. Who's in my bandwidth? Anyway, this has been going on for way too long in the government, and let's go back to the Mexican little jaunt that Obama did down in Mexico. And where did he go shortly after that? As Biden is the designated person to come to a funeral and be a representative for people who have died. He comes in and gives a keynote speech. What is it, in Ohio? And he tells the attendees, the young college graduates, that they shouldn't believe what they've heard all of the years that they've been growing up, that there's a tyrannical government waiting to happen right around the corner. Don't believe. And you know what he's saying? Do not believe your parents, your mother, your father, your grandfather, who served in the United States military, which he can never lay claim to. Oh, so he's talking from experience. Of course, we got a village idiot here who wants to be the czar. He needs to put on that uniform with a lot of medals, isn't it? He has never served in the U.S. military. He wouldn't know how to cover somebody's ass if it hit him in the face. And his administration proves it day after day after day. Simultaneous investigations and demands by Republicans. See, it isn't, how about it's not Republicans? How about it's the people? Demands by the people for more have put the White House on the defensive. Rightfully so. Stop me when I lie, everybody. Fellow patriots. Emboldened GOP lawmakers. And threatened to overtake a second term. Obama's agenda already off to a rocky start. It never was on firm ground, except for the AP, which now has lost all of their telephone data, contacts, and conversations records to the Justice Department. Oh, because now they're starting to wake up because they're understanding that we the people have had enough. We're now taking action in whatever small group or large group that we can muster. We talk amongst ourselves. We go out. We have a cup of coffee. We break bread with our neighbors, and we there's so much going on that we just roll our eyes and we have to talk about it. And it all doesn't make sense. It isn't any part of our lives as we know it as Americans. And it's gotten to the stage where we've pretty much had enough of both parties. Isn't that the truth? Does anybody not agree with this? And it's gotten to the stage where there is talk that I have to tell you this. I'm breaking off the subject here, but it's kind of all the same. It was maybe a week or two ago, I was early in the morning. I get up real early in the morning. I catch the early news shows, whatever they may be, whatever they're going to blah, blah about. Water. Agua. Right out of Lake Wish I Be Gone. I heard a poll, and it absolutely blew me away. And I think it was on NBC, early morning, whatever NBC was. And the poll basically said that 32 or 33% of Americans that they polled, and they never show the stats. We talked to 5 people, so, or 6 people and 3 or 2 people said, whatever. I don't know how many people were actually involved in this poll, but that the poll results were the 32 or 33% of Americans that were involved in this thing had said that they believed that there would be an armed revolution in America in the next 2 years. Now, if that doesn't make you take a moment of pause to contemplate one of the 3 major coddling news agencies running a poll and then reporting on it, that there would be an armed revolution in America within the next 2 years. Now, I'm not saying that. This is what I believe NBC said. I'm pretty sure that's what I had on. And at the same time, I think it was shortly after the gun bill got defeated. And at the same time, and my phone's beeping at me. Everybody's talking to me this morning. At the same time, the pollsters came up with a poll that said that America's belief in stricter gun controls had dropped from like in the high 40s or 50s down to 38%, which was, numbers skewed towards almost meeting that we the people were thinking there was going to be an armed revolution in America in the next 2 years, and that now all of a sudden the polls went from, 90% of people believe that there's stricter gun control. That's a crock. That's such a crock. You all know it. Anybody who's listening to me knows that's a crock. Excuse me. And but the one that just really did surprise me was that poll. Anyways, during the joint news conference with British Prime Minister David Cameron, the normally even-keeled Obama appeared agitated over the resurgent investigation into the September attack at a U.S. diplomatic compound in Benghazi. He dismissed the Republican-driven effort as a sideshow that dishonors the 4 Americans who were killed. This is coming out of the mouth of the head village idiot. dishonoring the 4 diplomats, service people who died. Are you out of your mind, bucko? You know, people wonder. I've had this comment from a lot of different people, and I've had it for years. I don't know if it's me, but I've heard this crap for so long that when I hear stuff like that, I go directly to the verbal jugular. It's disgusting. It's uncalled for. And I don't know where this... I mean, I do know. The guy was never raised in America. He has no idea what the American people want, the American way of life. All he knows is what he was brought up in. And the current administration is exactly why... That's why the current administration doesn't do the things that we, the people, want, and no one have loved for hundreds of years. I don't know where any leader of any country would say that the people who are demanding truth at whatever expense it causes to the system. I have said for decades, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton here. It doesn't matter what you do. It is the process by which you do it that will always screw you up when you do it wrong. And that's the basic principle that this Yahoo doesn't get. This administration doesn't get it. Although there are some people who I think do get it, and they resign because the commander-in-chief doesn't get it. He doesn't have a clue because he wasn't raised to understand that. He was raised to think that this color, what I'm dressed in is black. But he was raised to believe that this is green. And no matter how many people tell him that what I'm wearing is black, he will not believe it because he was brought up and he believes his mother and father. Yet he tells our children graduating from college with degrees not to believe the rhetoric that the government can't be trusted. What a crock of crap. I can use more severe language, but I'm not. It's just a sideshow that dishonors 4 Americans. This is our fearless leader. This is the spine and backbone of our country. I have to ask $1 million question, and I don't know the answer to it, and it disturbs me greatly. With this going on day after day after day, and this is how progressives win their game. I mean, I know the game. I know how they win it. I know how they play it. But I can't believe that our patriot conservative elected officials don't get it and are not standing firmly in the path of their very well-known process of winning their arguments. They start fires all over the place. If you throw enough crap at the wall, eventually something's going to stick. This is what a progressive believes. There are people locally that we're covering a story right now, and it's on a broadband issue in the state of Wisconsin, and how there are factions in our local communities just north of me, but in the same county, who are going to make a presentation to our county board and ask for $50,000 to $80,000 to have the government become active in providing internet broadband services to the people, and it's against the state constitution. It cannot happen, but they don't give a rat's ass. Pardon my French. They just continue to spew their personal agenda to have a socialist, Marxist, communist community where they live. And it's only about $800 for them to get a plane ticket and fly over to any country in the northern bloc that would welcome them with open arms in their communist country. Why don't they just go? But where are the people who stood on platforms at the Republican National Convention, supposed to be the conservative bunch of people in America, which I'll take issue with, given what they did at the RNC this year? Where are these people today? On a daily basis, what I'm seeing is John McCain, and he's turned into the biggest rhino I have ever heard speak in my entire life. And John, I'm going to tell you, I thank God, my heart bleeds for your service to my country. But it's time for you to retire. If you're the best the GOP has, John, I'm sorry, America is lost. Mitt, where the hell is Mitt? How can he, as a so-called conservative, supposed to represent the conservative values of America, be standing on the sidelines quiet with all this going on? Bonner, supposed to be the Speaker of our fearless leader. John Bonner, you can retire too. While you have the emotional side of a compassionate human being, you don't have the balls of the bull that need to be present sitting in the Speaker of the House. You're not there yet, buddy. And I thank you for your service, whatever it may have been. But it is time for you to retire, stand down, and let other conservative patriot people step into your shoes. Yeah, you call me a progressive patriot. Well, so be it. But I understand what it takes to look somebody square in the eye and tell them pretty much to go to hell. And not happening on my watch. There are people all over. I tell you, there are soccer moms who have better and bigger cojones than 99% of our people sitting in D.C. right now. And here's a group right there. I got it up on the screen on the TV side. The Oath Keepers. People who have put their hands up, sworn on a Bible that they would uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. There's 10 things that they won't do. And if you're interested in an organization who's got some cojones, have already served their country, maybe you ought to look into this and affiliate yourself with them. And there are other groups out there, Sons of Liberty Riders, Oath Keepers. The groups are cropping up all over the place. And you want to know something? If I was the administration, I might be scared of some of these people too, because as a communist waiting in the wings, you would not want to see these people coming at you from both a legal standpoint or anything else that they decide to do. This is just absolutely ludicrous, the condition of our country today. Just unbelievable. Seeking to keep another controversy from spinning out of control, the president rebuked the IRS for scrutinizing tax-exempt status of groups with conservative titles, such as Tea Party, or Patriot, or the new word that was added overnight is Constitution, or loving of the Constitution. These are the terms, and the Justice Department and IRS is looking at social networks. Guess what? That's how we communicate now. Those responsible, Obama said, must be held fully accountable. Yeah, just like you said over in Benghazi, just like you said over Fast and Furious, and you couldn't wait to write the executive order to give everybody a carte blanche that was involved. I've got no patience with it, he added. I will not tolerate it, and we will find out exactly what happened. Oh, how's that working out for us, America? How's that working out for you, patriots? Huh? He said he first learned of the matter on Friday. This is one of the most disconnected administrations. And think about this. And this is the truth. It is one of the most disconnected administrations that I have seen in my entire life. And I'm 60 years old. I've been aware of many things for many decades. If I had employees who said, I didn't know this was going on, as often as 90% of this administration says, and it's on both sides of this so-called aisle, nobody seems to know what anybody else is doing. What they call it, plausible deniability. And it lurks in undersecretaries' offices, in secretaries' offices. Hell, on Air One. Plausible deniability. I just tell them I didn't know about it. Yep. Who's getting thrown under the bus now? Some undersecretary. Some department head in, bum, you-know-what, Egypt. They've been running the whole IRS. I never knew anything was going on. Well, maybe if you didn't play golf so much all over the country, all over the world, if you weren't hobnobbing around on your vacations with the little lady and the kiddies, and sitting in Washington, D.C., paying attention to what the hell is going on, maybe we wouldn't have all these things going on. But that would take a true patriot to say, you can't do that. You're fired. How hard is that to say? Oh, come on. Say, well, if I had a bouncing ball here, I'm going to have to make a bouncing ball on a TV screen here. Let's say it all with me, kiddies. You're fired. That's not that hard to say. I think we all ought to send a Christmas card. Hell, Father's Day. Oh, there we go. Father's Day card to the White House. You're fired. Learn how to say it. You're fired. You can't do that. Life isn't hard. But boy, these guys are making it hard. Neither issue appears to be going away anytime soon on Monday. Representative Darrell Issa said, Republican from California and chairman of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Yeah. He's asking authors of an independent government review into in Benghazi attack to meet privately. See, when you have open meetings, you have open meetings. There isn't a whole lot you need to start closing doors on. And that's one of my biggest complaints with Issa. Everybody wants to go back into closed doors. Let me tell you something. National defense is not, it is a said and done issue. It happened somehow, and somebody's responsible for making it happen. Heads roll where they may. Doesn't matter. Pretty soon it'll become like China here. Last year we did a story on a guy who didn't want his little township to go away, so they sent a steamroller. He laid down on the road. They sent a steamroller, rolled right over him. Pictures up on our TV channel. An arm severed, his brain squashed, feet sitting out from behind the wheels. That's exactly what this government's going to have to do. Because I'm going to tell you, the people aren't standing for this crap anymore. Yeah, this is... It's hard to start Obama's team envisioned it after he solidly won re-election in November. Solidly my whatever. The White House had hoped to achieve an early victory on immigration overhaul, make another run at sweeping deficit reduction deal, and perhaps take a stab at tackling climate change. And no, they always forget about the gun thing. The gun thing hit the top before immigration even did. This is, and then they blame that change of agenda on the December massacre, the shooting at Newtown. This administration is one of the worst planned, executed administrations I think I've ever seen, and it's Obama still has an opportunity to reverse course and claim a big second-term victory if immigration changes can be put into effect. And right after, I got to take a commercial break here. Right after that, I'm going to come back with two stories on the immigration thing, of which I'm sure not too many people or news agencies are going to hit. One of which was the deportation of, which we already talked about, the deportations where he said he's not, he has to follow the rules as they sit. But that's another thing, I guess. Hopefully this will now also come through. We'll be right back. That's Just Jim in the morning on WPEG.net, your dose of reality network. other city officials that you want. Hello. Welcome back. My earpiece in here. I think I just had a bunch of dead air time there. That's what I think. Anyway, whatever. Hey, we'll get this technicalities sorted out here. Anyway, on this 1, 2. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Anyway, welcome back. I'm sorry for the mix-up here. This is not working well. Anyway, we're back. And I said we were talking about the administration and how the follies are are happening. And the two stories, one on immigration, I just said was that activists were they're complaining about the they want to stop deportation. But at the same time that's going on, here's another story that comes out of again out of Washington, and the high-tech companies, the businesses, are now looking to bring more skilled workers to the U.S. And this coincides with another story that's going on in America today, where that we talk about. Sorry, I got to play my volume here again. Where there's an issue going on right now with federally controlled education of our children. It's called Common Core, and it stems from Agenda 21. This is an all-inclusive, separate issue, but it directly goes right back to Agenda 21. And we in the state of Wisconsin have a very strong movement approaching our state government to put a halt to Common Core. Now, Common Core, I'll give you the gist of it, but this falls hand in hand when high-tech companies are screaming that they can't get skilled labor to come in and work for their company. They're saying that, let's see, immigrants would be the place. If I can't get them here in America, I would get them at some other place. So now they're pushing the government to get more concessions on an immigration bill pending in the Senate. Labor unions said that Silicon Valley had already gotten enough in the legislation, and further changes risk chipping away at protections for U.S. workers. What I'm hearing, though, as the underlying tone of this report is that American companies cannot get qualified people to come and work for them. Directly relating to another story that popped up about a week or two ago where a very wealthy person decided to set up an educational endowment, but not at an American university. He is giving his money to a Chinese university for American children because the cost of education it's spiraling out of control. Welcome to the University of Wisconsin, finding, what was it, $680 million hidden in a, I don't remember what the number was, but maybe it was $68 million. I don't know. It was quite a bit of money. While they're asking for raises in tuition from the children, pushing them deeper into debt. And while I would agree, I don't do this very often with the old boy talking about bringing the cost of education down. Well, the cost of education has to be directly related to the quality of education. And it's very much like in the music business. The old saying was, you're only as good as the last 45 you sold. And if you know, you younger kids, if you don't know what a 45 is, I'm sorry, but they were round little discs that you put on a record player, and you put a needle on top of them, you played the song. And that was how the music business per se was judged, how you were judged, how successful you were as a musician years ago. The same holds true with education. You're only as good as your last graduating class. If that graduating class has been taught to take a test, and only take a test, they don't know jack doodly squat about creative thinking within the subject matter, which makes minds grow through inquisitive courses, stimulating the thought process, the questioning process, which leads to answers, possibly a new answer. But if you only teach to pass a test, which is exactly what the federal government wants to do, you've all heard the term dumbing down of America. It is now at the stage of the game where our American children will hold the dumb card. They will hold the joker card in the deck of cards. They won't be holding 4 aces or a royal flush. All they're going to do is hand out jokers and have the numbers look good of kids who can pass this test. And it's a homogenization of our educational system so that truly, I mean, the term "no child left behind," "race to the top," these are terms that came out trying to sell this bill of goods to parents. And on the surface, they all sound pretty good. I mean, I'll give you that. I don't think I know anybody who would want to leave a child behind in education. Never happened. Not knowingly. But where Common Core is being pushed based on federal funding versus a solid curriculum and stimulation of children's minds, this is the end result. Where businesses say, I can't get qualified people. The only people who are qualified live in a different country, so I need to bring them here. Won't any of our legislators pause and think about that course? This is, and I don't have a foil cap on here. This one is exactly what's going on. The federal government wants to control your kids. Again, Obama talking at their graduation ceremony. Don't believe what you've heard growing up your entire life, that there's a government out there and that we're evil. No, just go ahead and believe it. I mean, just we're the greatest thing since sliced bread. That's not the case. Here's the end result. At issue are the highly sought-after H-1B visas that allow companies like Google and Microsoft to bring workers to the U.S. to fill job openings for engineers, computer software experts, and other positions where employees say there's a shortage of U.S. workers. And if there's a shortage of U.S. workers, why doesn't the legislator get it? Oh, guess what? Maybe we didn't teach our children those subjects. We taught them to take a test so that our numbers look good, and we can go to our local communities where the federal government will control the educational curriculum. The local communities will now be forced to pay, and pay dearly we do. And they always wave the flag. It's a universal flag for our children. Well, and if you say no, you don't like children? You want our children to fail? Are you nuts? But that's a progressive. That is a teachers' union. Those are the people who turn around and beat the drum. They go to Madison with their 5-6 gallon white pails that we normally, us wood ticks and patriots up here in the Northwoods, we go ice fishing with that stuff. Oh, but they got better. They bring a hammer and a spoon and a fork, and they beat on them. Turn them upside down and beat on them. Ah, you're evil. You're trying to take this away from us. You're trying to do this. You're trying to do that. It just befuddles me. Licensed physicians standing on street corners passing out excuses. Oh, you needed a psychological day off without an exam. You want to know? I'm a ex first responder, medical first responder. Do you want to know how long I would have kept my credentials had I done that on the scene of an accident? Any idea? Take a wild stab at it. About 2 minutes. If I would walk up to somebody and chuck them in the ambulance without ever looking at them and examining them and having a report so that the doctor back at the ER would have a shot at maybe saving this person, you know how long I'd be on the force? And yet, publicly, on camera, brazenly, there were groups of people, professionals, that are licensed by the state of Wisconsin, which is then governed by the federal government. They still have their jobs. Don't you people get it? Wait a minute. Where is it? Well, let's go back to that card we're going to send to the White House here for Father's Day. You're fired. It's not hard to say. You can send it out to the licensing bureau in Wisconsin. You're fired. Learn how to say it. This is class. This is speaking, writing 101. You're fired. You can't have a job because you don't know how to do your job. So here, you got all these companies now who say they want to hire people, but they're all after a H-1B visa. And the reason they're claiming is we don't get qualified people. We don't have educated people in the workforce. Isn't that what... Isn't this one of the biggest oxymorons? This is like a cat chasing its tail. Dog chasing its tail. Round and round and round it goes. And it all relates to the same thing. I don't get this. We're supposed to have intelligent, walking, talking, breathing elected officials. And this just day after day keeps coming down the aisle. These predictions, the legislation increases the number of these visas that are available, but also adds in a number of restrictions designed to give U.S. workers first shot at jobs. Well, if you're not qualified, you're not educated, how are you going to get a job? Wait a minute, if you're a woman or you're black, maybe there's a rule that says you can have that job, and they got to give it to you. Well, I'm politically incorrect there, aren't I? Those predictions were championed by Senator Dick Durbin out of Illinois. Oh, the home state boy. A Judiciary Committee member who's also part of the bipartisan... Oh, wait a minute. Now, here we go. Here's that term that we love to hear, Gang of Eight. Chicago, Illinois politics brought to Washington, D.C. Quote, unquote, the Gang of Eight senators who authored the immigration legislation. Did you elect only 8 senators? I got to ask this. How many senators are there? Does anybody know? Do any of my patriots know? So I have 855-490-2300. You call me up and you tell me, how many senators are there? But in Chicago and Illinois, there's only gangs. There's only headbangers, there's gangs. And the politicians there, well, we'll nickname them the Gang of Eight. That one pissed me off when it happened. but nobody's got the cojones to call the boy on the carpet. But high-tech companies have their own champion on the Judiciary Committee. Senator Republican Orrin Hatch of Utah, who's prepared a slew of amendments to help their cause. Hatch has seen it as a potential swing vote in the immigration bill, so backers of the legislation, who are working assiduously to ensure the bill passes. I don't. And where is the AFL-CIO in this? Sitting right next to the Gang of Eight, another group of thugs. We deem the current language in the bill to be the compromise. After all, high tech got an awful, cut off an awful lot of what it wanted, including the visa limit going up nearly threefold, said Tom Schneider, manager of the AFL-CIO, quote unquote. Now they want to compromise the compromise. What is the AFL-CIO? I think the last time the union got heavily involved in anything in the government had to do with Enron, and that was the Teamsters union, because they had lost billions of dollars in that scamorama. And as a byline, I believe that somebody out of the Enron operation is getting out of jail pretty quick. This is the Information Technology Industry Council joined dozens of other businesses and state groups and chambers of commerce and technology councils in sending a letter to the Judiciary Committee membership outlining their concerns about high-tech language in the bill. You know, it goes directly back to Common Core. In our school system, in our youngs. My daughter, and I'll give you an example. They instituted the tech language in the state statutes, it had been 18 years ago. Testing was to be done at 4th grade, testing at 8th grade, testing at 12th grade, supposedly to meet certain standards. I will guarantee you that my daughter never took any tests in 4th, 8th, or 12th grade. Never, nada. And the state statutes were explicit in how technology was supposed to be brought into the curriculum. Guaranteed it never was. What happened against state statute was the teachers didn't know enough I'm going to say that universally across the board. You have a few people here and a few people there that did IT and the tech side for administration, but they weren't academias. The teachers in the classrooms merely, instead of reading a piece of paper, they said, well, let's fire up the newspaper online, and we can read it on a computer, and they called that tech time. Had it not been for my technology world, my daughter wouldn't know the inside of a computer to save her life. Wouldn't know what a hard drive looked like. She may not even know. I don't even know if she remembers. Wouldn't know what a floppy drive was. What's a floppy drive? I found some floppy disks the other day. People laugh at me. She'll know what a memory stick is. She'll know what a smartphone is. But those are not. Those technologies going that way. Tablets. Every kid's got to have a tablet in school now. But what is the cost to institute that, and what's the curriculum? The curriculum is to teach to pass a test, which was 4th, 8th, and 12th grade. Had nothing to do with the content of the curriculum. And the result is that technology companies are now screaming, well, if you take away the immigration rules or change the immigration rules and the work visas, how are we ever going to get people to come to our factory or our organization to work that know anything? If I'm forced to give the job to a citizen first rather than somebody on a visa, how can I succeed? And of course, large corporations, the likes of Microsoft and Hewlett-Packard and other groups, have these coffers that they send to the election groups. Make their donations to get what it is they want. That's our system. High-tech companies are now also concerned about the new provision requiring them to show they've tried to recruit U.S. workers before having anyone on an H-1B visa. H-1B. That sounds like a flu virus, bird flu virus, doesn't it? H-1B. I guess departments just borrow from other departments. Hatch would limit the requirements only to companies that are more heavily dependent on H-1B visas, so that it would apply to the number on would only apply to a number of tech companies. My lab is down here. Are you telling me something? Sorry, you're talking. We're talking small time studio here, so we got our pets running around. She's off exploring, up from her morning nap. The Judiciary Committee meets Tuesday, but the consideration of the bulk of Hatch's amendments are likely to be put off until Thursday to give senators time to see if they could reach a resolution. Senators, wait a minute, that's a gang of 8. It's only 8 people. How can you not reach some kind of consensus among 8 people? And with that, since my dog is here, I already know what the problem is. What, are you trying to tell me something? You trying to tell me something? Yeah, I'm sorry. The rest of the world gets to know my personal life here on the Just Jim Show. Let me fire. I don't think this is going to play, but let me fire him up. Hang on a minute here. We'll be right back. Got the Just Show in the morning. Government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. At Hodag Gun & Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At Hodag Gun & Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry, too. And right now, we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in... Support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you. Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability. WPEG.net Television Network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's Northwoods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today. Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@wpeg.net. WPEG is a listener-supported station. Are you ready for digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001. That's Dave's TV, 362-3000. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Yeah, we're back. Just Jim in the morning. It has been a while. You know, I've missed talking to you guys. I really do. I don't know if you've missed hearing me, but I've missed talking to you guys. Anyway, and we were talking about the high-tech companies pleading to have leniency on the H-1B provisions that supposedly this new immigration bill has. You know, this has gotten to this. It's an interesting twist of event where legislators constantly end up taking bills further and further away from what the original intent was. And the original intent on this was all the illegal aliens that are here residing, and they look for this revenue stream. If you think back when this whole thing started, there was a fee. What was it? I don't remember. $2,500, $4,500 that families had to pick up and pay to apply for this extended visa that the sibling or their children would be able to get on the while they're waiting to stand in line to get immigration papers or legal status or whatever the heck it was. And it was interesting how fast that money flowed, and I'm sure the the decision process was helped along by the added income between both the application process, and it wasn't guaranteed. You put your money down, it's like, you know, applying for a turkey or a bear permit, and you just pay your application fee, and if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you know, well, you don't. Anyway, so, but, and these companies, they have a certain amount of legitimacy to their questions and their requests, but at the same time, I have to go right back to the educational system that exists in America and where it seems to be going. And it's not a good thing, and this is a direct result of that educational system failing our children. And given some new expanded piece of legislation controlled by the federal government that, you know, as well as I do, the government, anytime they get their hands involved in something, it just screws everything up. They don't know how to do things. They don't. My letter to my local school board yesterday said exactly that. What have you done in a standard business scrutiny to take a look at what this will cost to implement? If I want to expand my business and I need to get a loan from the bank to do it, don't I have to have a business plan? You're absolutely, unless I'm in the secondary home mortgage business, then it doesn't matter. Just give me the numbers and we'll do what we want to do with them. I honestly don't get that. This is something that once the government, they just throw money at it and maybe it'll work. They throw crap on the wall and hope something will stick. And you and I both know that that's not the truth. It doesn't work. Never has, and it never will. And that's the part that I blame business leaders who take time away from their business to go into to the political arena. I blame them. I stand and point my finger at them. And I say, you are responsible. You've been in the private sector. You're in the public sector now. And there is no difference between the two other than most of the people that are sitting next to you have never risked a dime on any business venture. So they're not accountable. They just raise taxes. Well, there's more money available. That is so wrong. And you, Ron Johnson, you've come from a successful business you built. You helped build, and you're falling for this Common Core crap. You should know better. I absolutely know that you know better. You're in the position of, oh, let's pass it. It sounds good for our kids, so then we'll see what's in it. We can tweak the formula later. That doesn't work. You know it from personal experience. Sean Duffy, you know it from personal experience. I have no clue whether Tammy Baldwin knows it or not. I have questions about if she knows anything other than, well, it's for our children, so we'll throw money at it. I've called her. I have yet to get any response back from her on anything between the gun issue. Oh, I think we got to do this, and oh, we got to do that. You know, they busted some people talking after, once again, an open microphone after a committee had been dismissed, mocking Americans and our guns. All they want is to keep their guns. Blah, 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 blah. You know, and then I refer back to the poll. It becomes by NBC, it becomes very obvious that at some point, we the people are going to have had enough. And there's a storm brewing in America between the haves and the patriots. And it may not be a pretty thing when it's all said and done. But at times, that's what it takes to keep freedom active. So much for that. Now, how about we move on to something that's very near and dear to everybody's heart? Yes, the protection of American citizens. Oh, with the I hate that term, Homeland Security. That is so out of Nazi Germany. Homeland Security. Yeah, they're buying up all the ammo. And when you hear these stories, and let me just comment on that. When you hear these stories about Homeland Security buying up ammo, yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. The question that next, two things I think that people need to ask is, where are these purchases going to be placed? What are they going to be used for? The IRS is one of them. Social Security Department has ordered ammunition. That's a big question mark. To me, anyway. What does the Social Security Administration need ammunition for? Then the next question is, what exactly is it that they're buying? What are they stashing? What are they storing? We do know, because the RFPs are out there, or the purchase orders are out there, and it's 40 caliber semi-hollow point ammunition. If we go back a few years prior to pretty much everybody's birth, that might be, I shouldn't say that, I got a lot of older listeners, the Hague Convention and the Geneva Convention came to be after World War II. And or was it one? I don't remember. Whatever. It was World War II, I think. And there were specifics about ammunition that could be used by military in acts of war, one of which was hollow point ammunition was banned. Can't use it. That's why you have military using full metal jacket, round nose pistol ammunition, full metal jacket, round solid rifle ammunition. And you have to ask yourself, well, why did they do that? And then the next question would be, why is Homeland Security arming itself with this massive amounts of ammunition in a semi-hollow point configuration? They're not under the War Powers Act anyway. Homeland Security does not exist under the War Powers Act. Can't go to war. So if that's the only reason that they're now looking at semi-hollow point, it's cheaper to make ball ammo, full metal jacket ammo. And the departments that are purchasing ammunition are very much under question. Now, where's the administration on this one? You know, Janet Napolitano. Where is Obama on these moves? Being a very anti-gun administration, openly. Holder is an extreme anti-gunner. I'm thinking Janet is too. The old vice president there, he's absolutely an anti-gunner, though he says, you got to live by the Constitution, blah, 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 blah. But he stands there with that frown. Yes, he does. And back to Homeland Security. The bombing, the travel trips, everybody's talking about the FBI. But as an average person listening to the term Homeland Security, doesn't one just conjure up the thought that they're the ones that are supposed to be responsible, and on top of all of these immigration gazinta gazaldas, obviously the immigration department's in charge of visas. You got the Boston bombing. And now a little story. Maybe somebody will have the cojones to pick this up. I don't really know. Here's a little story, and we all know about how friendly the administration, the White House specifically, is towards Saudi travel visas. The Muslim Brotherhood. Out of Detroit, little story today. Saudi man traveling with pressure cooker has been arrested. Yep. I'll play a Ferguson. Yep, there it is. Right there is the story. A Saudi man was arrested at Detroit Metropolitan Airport after federal agents. See, now they don't say if that's TSA or is it FBI, which they need. When the AP reports, journalism is shot in the you-know-where. Hasn't been a good journalist out there in a long, long, long time. I don't know who the federal agents are, exactly who they are and why they're there. I mean, obviously they're there because the guy said that he lied about why he was traveling with a pressure cooker. See, I find this comical. That the perception of America is so lax that the first words out of this guy's mouth are that he lied about why he was traveling with a pressure cooker. But his nephew said Monday that it was all a misunderstanding about a device he simply wanted for cooking. Oh my God. Where does the world think we are? I really don't know. I swear to God. 2 pressure cookers were used in last month's Boston Marathon bombings. Yeah, no kidding. Hussein al-Kawahir was being held in Detroit on allegations of lying to Custom and Border Inspection Protection agents. Is that Homeland Security? I really don't know. It doesn't sound like it. And of using a passport with a missing page. He was arrested Saturday. A missing page on your visa. How dumb are we? Well, Detroit's pretty much bankrupt, out of the picture, has an appointed administrator. but I'm thinking that's not necessarily. But that's the route coming in from Canada. His nephew, Nasser Al-Mazouk, told the Associated Press that he had asked his uncle to bring him the pressure cooker so he could make lamb. Bah. A college student said 2 pressure cookers he bought in the U.S. were not, quote-unquote, not good at all, and said the ones available in Saudi Arabia are higher quality. I'm Arabic, he said, who is studying mechanical engineering at the University of Toledo in Ohio, about 55 miles north of Detroit. I always use pressure cookers to cook. Oh, where's my laugh track? Oh, my God. I know what I'm going to do. This is appropriate right here. This is exactly what. There, we'll play the back porch woodtick music here. Al Mazouk said his uncle was coming to visit him for a couple of weeks. A criminal complaint alleges that Al-Kawar arrived in the airport on Saturday on a flight from Saudi Arabia via Amsterdam. Why is that feeding back? Well, whatever. Anyway, maybe I can hear it. I don't know. And he told the agency he was just visiting his nephew. He originally said he brought the pressure cooker with him because pressure cookers aren't sold in America. Now, wait, let me repeat that again. We have to be really clear on the position of Saudi Arabians and what they think America is all about. He said he brought the pressure cooker with him because pressure cookers aren't sold in America. And later said his nephew had bought one, but it was cheap and broke after one use, according to the complaint. We must be, does it help that we have a village idiot running our country that the rest of the world thinks we're all village idiots? Apparently so. Oh, my God. Al Kawahar was read his Miranda rights, which he said he understood, and then he invoked his right to be silent and shut up, according to the complaint. See, they really think that the average person they're going to meet when they get off the plane, try to enter the United States, is going to be one dumb you-know-what. Then he gets read his Miranda rights, which he doesn't have because he's not a citizen. You have the right to remain silent. No, you don't. You're going to bring a pressure cooker in after the Boston Marathon. Son, we're going in a private room and we're going to talk. Gina Balea, spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Detroit, said he made his initial appearance Sunday, but his Monday detention hearing was delayed until Tuesday afternoon. A message-seeking comment he left with his defense attorney for whatever reason. Authorities have said that the Boston Marathon bombing brothers off 2 shrapnel-packed pressure cooker bombs on April 15th near the race finish line. The attack killed people and injured 260. Yes, we know that. And on Monday, said he was concerned about his uncle and he hadn't been told anything since he was arrested. Oh, no. He vehemently denied any wrongdoing, of course. If I wanted to do something stupid like this, I would just take my uncle from Saudi Arabia to buy a pressure cooker. It's legal here. What's legal here? He's studying to be an engineer, and he doesn't have a mastering of the English language yet. Here we go, right back to the educational immigration thing with Common Core. I'm telling you that the world really does think that we are a bunch of bozos. We are a bunch of village idiots. This is so appropriate, so spot on. I don't know. So, and then back to the top 10. One of the top things, 10 things here about the birds, the green windmills, the big windmill farms. You go down to across the middle of the state of Wisconsin, Fond du Lac, Fox Valley area. They go as far as the eye can see, and there's hundreds of them spotted all over the countryside. It's kind of an interesting look. I got to admit, I'm torn because I don't know the pros and cons of it. I know they're highly regulated. I know a friend of mine is trying to put a windmill up on her property, and it has been delayed, stalled. For what reasons, I'm not really sure. If the environmentalists don't like it, obviously they don't. Yet it's green, quote-unquote green, for the environment. I gotta... And with the administration's friendliness to green, I got to ask the $1 million question here. Why are we headed up to the Arctic? Another little story that I'm sure maybe won't be picked up by a lot of people, but Laura Jakes out of Washington says a new U.S. strategy for the Arctic region has gotten a lukewarm response from a think tank that says the plan amounts to a quote-unquote lengthy wish list with very few specifics. Which leads us right back to my commentary on Common Core at the federal level. The administration across the board doesn't have a clue about how to put a comprehensive, viable financial plan on the table when they want to implement something. All they know how to do is say, well, there's tax money involved, so we'll just get some tax money. Well, now, of course, the sequester has, put the lump in everything that anybody wants to do. And, we can't do this because of the sequester, blah, 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 blah. There was another article in here today that talked about some of the smaller airports with air traffic controllers. You know, and that right there is another pointed argument that says, well, we'll put the big hefty sequester on, but since we as congressmen and senators have to travel all the time, we're going to lift it off, let them jockey their finances around so that we don't get put out by holdups at the airport. I tell you. So anyways, a tepid feedback from the Washington-based Arctic Institute comes as U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry heads Monday to Sweden for a meeting with foreign ministers focused on Arctic issues. Out of the frying pan in Benghazi into the deep freeze of the Arctic. Our Secretary of State's no bounds. Syria and Iran and Afghanistan are also on Kerry's agenda for discussion with the Swedish Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, according to the State Department. The Arctic Institute praised the new White House strategy for at least outlining U.S. priorities in the icy region. I didn't know that we had priorities there. This just brings to mind a B-rated horror movie. What will we find in the Arctic? Frozen bodies? Neanderthal men? I don't know. Unveiled last week, the blueprint vows to protect American security, safeguard the environment, and strengthen ties with foreign nations as the U.S. moves forward in the Arctic. But the think tank said the strategy is missing examples of many specific projects to be undertaken. So they have a list of projects? Why aren't they aware of this? And lacks assessments of future U.S. capabilities in the Arctic Circle. It also wrapped the plan for failing to commit funds for the strategy. Oh, here we go. We're back looking for money. The White House last week said it does not expect to receive more funding for the strategy. Well, of course not. We all know we're broke. Whatever, you know. Let's see. Go down here. 1, 2, 3. That looks a little better. I'll turn this up over here. 1, 2. There we go. Without a clear budgetary plan, the strategy becomes nothing more than a lengthy wish list, said the Institute. Despite a good faith effort at articulating policy priorities and formulating mutually reinforcing objectives, the U.S. Arctic strategy remains as elusive as a mirage on the Arctic ice sheet. You know, there you go. Supposed global warming has melted sea ice to levels that have given rise to what experts describe as a kind of gold rush scramble to the Arctic. U.S. officials estimate... See, I'd like to know what department... This is the generic U.S. officials. I want to know what department they're talking to. Estimate that the Arctic holds 13% of the world's undiscovered oil reserves and 30% of undiscovered gas deposits. Until recently, however, the resources that could reap hundreds of billions of dollars in revenues were frozen over and unreachable. And which also brings to mind a story I heard about the underneath the Arctic cap, or was it the Antarctic cap? One or the other. There was if you go down deep enough, and I think there was a drilling operation doing this, that if you go down deep enough, you will find an aquifer that is second to none of pure non-salt water, and it's under the Arctic cap, I think. It was in it. I caught it on Nightline or one of those shows. I don't know. Because of Alaska's inclusion in the Arctic Circle, the U.S. is a member of the Arctic Council, which meets Tuesday and Wednesday in Sweden. Now, enter the Chinese. You believe that? They've got an interest. Wait a minute. Are they on the Arctic Circle? No, they're not. But guess what? They bought their way in. Jirek Kilo, a Chinese expert at Finnish Institute of International Affairs, downplayed Beijing's interest in the Arctic, but predicted it will soon rise. Well, of course it's going to. China is the world's largest energy consumer and an uneasy U.S. ally. It is in China's interest now to make investments in the Arctic and prepare for the future, he said. By doing some little preparation today, it will be ready for things to start happening in the Arctic within the next decade. So, and that was a senior producer, David McDougall, reporting out of Finland. So there you have that. I I find that to be kind of an interesting article. We go from the rainforest and interest there to the Arctic Circle and interest there to having the federal government be the be-all and end-all of everything in our lives, governing every aspect of whatever it is we think we want to do. And when they lose control, what do? Well, by God, they get an executive order or a subpoena, and then they march right in and obtain 2 months of telephone records of reporters and editors at the Associated Press in what the News Cooperative's top executive called a massive and unprecedented intrusion into how news organizations gather their news. Well, could it be that the White House press secretary is now upset because they're actually listening and quoting the dumb things he's saying, and he can't talk his way out of something on quote-unquote talking points? And, of course, the Attorney General, who is escaping fast and furious under executive pens, but who continues to, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I believe that I heard a story that his wife owned part of the clinic in Philadelphia that Gasnell, whatever his name is, owned. I'm not sure. Didn't find a truth meter on that one. But I'm letting you know up front that it's just a possible ruse. The records obtained by the Justice Department listed outgoing calls for the work and personal phone numbers of individual reporters for general AP office numbers in New York, Washington, and Hartford, Connecticut, and for the main number for the AP in the House of Representatives press gallery. It was not clear if the records were included, if they included incoming calls or the duration of the calls. In all, the government seized the records of more than 20 separate telephone lines assigned to AP and its journalists in April and May of 2012. The exact number of journalists who used the phone lines during that period is unknown, but more than 100 journalists work in the offices where phone records were targeted. Let's see, we've got the IRS targeting things. We have the White House, government, agency, Justice Department. Yeah. Are we really that unaware that we now fear for our lives or our administration in the government? In a letter of protest sent to Attorney General Holder on Monday, AP President and Chief Executive Officer Gary Pruitt said the government sought to obtain information far beyond anything could be justified by any specific investigation. He demanded the return of the phone records and the destruction of all copies. Yeah, like that's going to happen. Sure. There you go. I don't think so. The government would not say why it sought the records. Officials have previously said in public testimony that the U.S. Attorney in Washington is conducting a criminal investigation into who may have provided information contained in a May 7, 2012 AP story about a foiled terror plot. The story disclosed details of a CIA operation in Yemen that stopped an al-Qaeda plot in the spring of 2012 to detonate a bomb on an airplane bound for the United States. In testimony in February, CIA Director John Brennan noted that the FBI had questioned him about whether he was the AP's source, which he denied. He called the release of the information in the media outlet the terror plot unauthorized and dangerous disclosure of classified information. Well, we already know about that with Wikipedia, with the wiki notes, right? WikiLeaks. Yeah. We're involved in decision-making in a connection with the criminal investigation as those matters are handled independently by the Justice Department, Jay Carney said, White House spokesman. So as I said, and now you've just turned on the docile sheep who have kept this administration safe and reported only what the talking points are that are being released. I find this to be very interesting, and though the records are from way back was a year ago, 2012, If in fact the records include recordings, I don't know. I'm not on that because I am a huge fan of the Sunshine Laws and the lack of intrusion by any government branch into anything that's not suspected as being true terrorism and against the security of my country. How's that? I don't like to call it homeland. It reminds me of jackbooted thugs walking all over the place. And the story in May 7th of 2012 disclosed details of a CIA operation in Yemen, killing on the anniversary date, May 2 of 2011, killing of Osama bin Laden. You know, we buried him at sea in a real fast huffy puffy. Why didn't we just take the Boston bomber and bury him at sea? You know, to bury him on my country's ground is ludicrous. He wasn't a citizen. His younger brother is. He wasn't. He was here on an illegal visa. Whoa, there's that word again, illegal, and expired, which all leads back to illegal. And I have to ask that $1 million question again then is why was he here? And his brother, I don't know, whatever. I don't get it. I'm not supposed to get it. I'm just the old wood tick in North Woods of Wisconsin. Of a lake wish I be gone, where nothing works, nothing ever will work. Our leaders are failing miserably, as our children are, and there is no hope for tomorrow, given the course we're on, because everybody's just asleep, doing what they got to do to take care of themselves. So until I'm going to sign off early today, I've got we'll play these commercials here, and we'll see what the heck comes out of it. Maybe something will happen. I don't know. But it has been a pleasure. I really missed talking to you guys. I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully I will have... every day I should get better and better in here. I'm missing a couple cameras yet. They haven't come in. Suppliers are... I can't get supplies. I can't get qualified workers. I can't get supplies. And we're just moving forward at the pace we can with given the times we have. And with that, I'm going to tell you, no matter how much we piss and moan about anything, we talk about the village idiots running around. America's still the greatest country in the world. It's my country. Not going to happen on my watch. Hopefully it won't happen on your watch. Be good to each other, because when it's all said and done, that's all we have left. And I can't think of a better thing to do than just being kind to your neighbor. Pay it forward a little bit. Be good. And we will talk to you tomorrow. This is Just Jim on WPEG.net, your dose of reality network.
WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners, a listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. At Hodag Gun & Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At Hodag Gun & Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in
Support our underwriters.
Wisconsin. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you.
Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability.
WPEG.net television network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's Northwoods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting
or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today. Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@WPEG.net. WPEG is a listener supported
Are you ready
station.
for digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001.
That's
Dave's TV, 362-3000.
WPEG.net,
Your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program.
You know, getting back to school, I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. And I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester. And it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, oh glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation, and justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance. Under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?